Now, the deplorable state of service delivery in the Eastern Cape topped the agenda during President Cyril Ramaphosa's two-day oversight visit to the province. Ramaphosa called for the prioritization of service delivery, especially to those who need it most. His visit comes shortly after the Auditor-General's scathing report on the state of the province. To discuss this further, I'm now joined by Professor Mazwe Majola, who is a governance expert at the Wits Business School. A very good evening to you, Prof. Thank you so much for coming into studio and joining us. Let's just start with the deplorable state of the Eastern Cape. That is nothing new. This is a problem that has been well diagnosed. What do you make when you look at the president going in to make these oversight visits?
And good evening, the most disheartening point is that we are talking about the province that has been led by one party since 1994. So it's not like anyone can say no, but we did well during our time, and then another party came, messed up, we came back, we cleaned up. No, it has been ANC since 1994 until now, which means about 30 years or so. One party, different premiers, and they've just lost it. Yes, there has been some dynamics, of course. Remember that Eastern Cape is a big province. Actually, I think it's the second largest province in the country geographically, after the Northern Cape. And then you remember that prior to 94, it had Ciskei and Transkei, and then a little bit of South Africa. So in 94, they had to put together a lot of rural areas and villages in that province. However, if a leader has been elected with vision, with intention of serving and servicing his or her people, will try at least make things happen. You know, the damning report from the Auditor-General, it's so unfortunate, really, because it talks to the office of the Premier, it talks to the legislature, it talks to the portfolio committees, it talks to municipalities, it talks to different departments, Department of Education, of Health. So it's just a mess in that province, which is very, very unfortunate. So I think it's just an issue of poor leadership, poor visionary leadership, mismanagement, and the lack of transparency, lack of consequence management when people have done wrong, because as the report says that even certain things that they've addressed, or rather certain things they've raised, they've never been addressed, you know. So I think it's very, very unfortunate that really we find Eastern Cape in this dire state. I wonder what the president said there, and then I wonder what the Premier is going to do moving forward.
This isn't the first time that we also find that, you know, there are allegations also that are pointing to the Premier's office, pointing to the leadership of that province. But what we saw after the May elections, the general elections last year, was that President Cyril Ramaphosa appointed the exact same people who were at the helm of this deterioration of that province. If we're still seeing the same people being elected into the same positions and the state still deteriorating, what does that tell us about how much the president actually does prioritize fixing the Eastern Cape?
Well, it means that the president and the ANC are misreading the South African political landscape of what is happening now. I think maybe they think that we are still in the last 20 years or 30 years or so. We need a leader that can read the room, that can say, you see, now we've got different certain political parties that have joined the political environment, and people, South Africans, are no more illiterate. That blind loyalty that you used to have before, it was proven in the last year, or it was debunked in the last year election. So moving forward next year, going to the municipality election, I think ANC, if they're really not, if they not change, they are going to lose the municipalities there, or major metros, and even the certain municipalities in Eastern Cape.
And the Auditor-General also highlighted the rot in specific municipalities. And I also think about when you're speaking about, you know, just having the same kind of leadership and nothing that is visionary in this leadership as well. It was, I think, in October last year where there was a News 24 report about someone who had gone on social media, a woman who had gone on social media to complain about the state of the roads, to complain about the potholes. And in true South African style, she made kind of like a comedic thing out of it. But then this, the municipality of Buffalo City then said they were going to be targeting this woman with legal action. In the AG report, the AG also found that there was a lack of accountability. Now, when you have a municipality that guns for a citizen that is complaining about, purely, I mean, on the screens right now, we can see the state of the roads in some of those parts in the Eastern Cape. Clearly, there isn't a way, they haven't really read the room, as you're saying. But what does that tell us about those municipalities as well?
And again, it's a lack of really accountability in terms of, do these people, or are these people aware that if they don't do things in the right way, they will be out, you know? Because I think there was this culture for a very long time of impunity that in any case, our people will vote for us. Our people understand. Our people, they know that we are coming from this era. Our people, you know, that's why I'm saying now things have changed, you know, and then ANC must really wake up and smell the coffee that South Africans are now voting for bread and butter issues, service delivery. You know, it's about, as you are saying, it's about infrastructure. I was in Eastern Cape last weekend, and I drove exactly the areas we're talking about. East London, Butterworth, in those areas. You know, yes, you can see that in terms of infrastructure, there's some road works happening there. You know, that stop and go when they put a stop and then the other roads there, and then again. So you can see that things are happening, but the question is that when are they going to finish them? Because you can't just have these projects without really finishing them, because it's very inconveniencing, as I'm saying that. You can imagine as a motorist, you are just standing there, you're waiting, and it's not only in one section.
Yeah.
You drive against another one, another one, another one. So yes, it's an inconvenience, but people must be convinced by leaders that yes, this is just a short pain, short inconvenience, but in a long run, we will be finishing them, and then the roads will be okay. So indeed, I do believe that it's just that lack of consequence management, you know, and the lack of accountability. And it's very, very unfortunate because both the president and the premier, which they were very fortunate that they were brought back for the second term, because Oscar Mabuyane took over in May 2019 for his first term, and then again he came back. So this is his second term. He must really prove himself. He must really leave a legacy. I mean, he must really, one day must look back and say, at least I occupied this position and this is what I did for the people of Eastern Cape.
Lastly, Prof, taking a look at the Premier's legacy thus far since 2019, if you were the President as a governance expert, what would you advise to the President? Is this somebody that you should keep as the #1 citizen in the province?
Well, look, he has tried, you know, as I'm saying, that under the circumstances. It's just depend between the President and him what they've agreed upon. But judging from the report from the Auditor-General, definitely I would say it's a person who would have been in that position again, because there you need someone who will come and make things happen, a transformational leader, a visionary leader, a leader who will be able to to clean up all this corruption thing and mismanagement, and a leader who will set up structures and processes and forums, especially a cooperative governance between different government or levels of government, so that they can work together to fix to fix the what is not happening there in the Eastern Cape.
Well, accountability is certainly needed and much more transparency. Prof. Majola, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to get your insights, and thank you for joining us in studio on this Good Friday.